Welcome back to the ESM podcast. I'm so thankful that you've joined. Today's episode is sponsored by Tyler Kane with Statewide Mortgage. He's a senior loan officer with 20 years of experience in helping people with their home mortgage needs. Whether you're a first-time buyer, looking to refinance, or just want to discuss future home ownership goals, give Tyler a call, 813-380-8487. Or you can set up an appointment at his website, which is provided in the show notes. It just does not get any better than Christians helping Christians. Speaking of which, thank you again for being here with me. Let's get started. Welcome back. I'm so thankful that you're listening today. I hope your week has started well and you're incredibly optimistic. And as the title of the episode suggests, to give you something wonderful to think about, I hope you have a joyful week of praying for failure. Okay, that's probably going to need some explanation, and the only way I can do it is by telling you about an illustration that I just kind of randomly came up with a couple of days ago. It's probably a little bit half-baked, but I hope that the takeaways are clear and it affects the way that you pray. If this brief illustration does not work for you, it's because it's not that great. Also, I remember learning back when I was younger from my mentor, Steve Fontenot, that illustrations merely illustrate. They don't prove anything. So don't dig too deeply, but follow along with the way my brain works for a few minutes, and let's see if we can think up some things together. Here's the situation. I was up here a couple of days ago. I was recording an episode. I can sit in this seat for about 30 minutes at a time, and I have to get up and go walking. And so I have a path. I can almost see it in the carpet. A path in the darkened auditorium that I walk practically every day when I'm thinking or practicing. So I was in there just burning a few minutes, and I looked at the back wall. And we have one of those pretty tall back walls, you know, the double doors and all of that, but a pretty high ceiling. And out of nowhere, I wondered, is there anybody alive today who could scale that wall? And I don't mean with ropes or any of that stuff. I mean, they could just take off running. Maybe they would need some special shoes or gloves or Spider-Man-like fingertips, but could someone just run at that wall and start climbing it and get to the top? And from there, my imagination just lost its sense of direction, and I pictured a guy who spent years training to set the Guinness World Record for scaling a vertical brick wall with absolutely no helps or safety mechanisms or anything. And so this guy spends years. He works on his speed and agility, his flexibility, and his jump. He gets special shoes made. He works on his grip, hoping that as he scales the wall, he can get that little bit of mortar between the bricks to propel him upward. And then after all of this training, maybe it's indoors somewhere with the ropes and the pulleys, and he lands on a mat and he gets really good at it. He meets the Guinness team and an audience out in a parking lot in front of a massive vertical brick wall. I couldn't find any records for this in real life, but let's say the highest anyone had ever gone was 15 feet. And this guy is sure he can blow past that. And so the cameras roll, and he takes off running at the wall, and he gets the perfect jump and grip and propels, and up he goes. It's like this guy will not be stopped. He makes it 20, 30, 40 feet in the air. No one has ever done this before. Blows away the world record. The most successful vertical brick wall climber in the history of the world, and maybe the most athletic thing that's ever happened. If this was the end of his story at the top of that mark, it would be one of the greatest stories ever told. Movies made about it. The problem is, that is not the end of the story. When he gets to that 40-foot mark, he stops. And what was euphoric and adrenaline-laced and athletic gives way to the reality of a thing called gravity. In all of his prep and work, he had all of these safety measures, but here he's just raw climbing and he gets to the top and gravity is about to pull him straight down to the ground. Maybe he imagined it as if he was going to slide down the wall or somehow be able to grip those little grooves between the bricks, but he was wrong about all of that, and down he goes. Now, this is just a completely fictional, probably impossible illustration, so I don't know what happens, but if I said that guy fell and died from that height, that would very much be within the realm of reality. As a result of his great success came catastrophic failure. In fact, the better he did, the more dangerous and inevitably awful the outcome became. He didn't see that. He didn't think about that. He was bent on achieving a direction, but that direction took him further and further away from safety and grounding, and he impacted back to the ground in a dangerous way. In fact, the only way to come out successful and with long-term favor is if he failed. The worst he did at accomplishing his objective, the better off he would have been. Do you hear me on that? If he had run towards that wall and he tripped up at the end and he only went up 5 feet, he would have landed embarrassingly back on his feet and walked away. If he'd made it 10 feet up, he may have sprained an ankle. 20 feet up, he breaks a leg. 30 feet up, he breaks several bones in both legs. But no, he overachieves and outpaces, and the outcome is catastrophic. Now, if I was a friend of his or a family member or somebody who just cared about his safety and I was there, I would be saying a little prayer while this guy was running at the wall. He clearly wouldn't listen all the times before that I told him that, when you get up there and you're going, this is amazing, that's going to be the last positive thought you probably ever get to have, and he would not listen. So I am praying for his failure. I want him to sprain his ankle on the way to the wall. I want a little wet spot on that brick wall to cause his first shoe to slip and him break his nose running into the wall, and then he walks away and we go get a sandwich. I am afraid of his success, and I pull against it, not in the remotest way out of jealousy, though if I told him beforehand, that's probably what he'd be thinking, but out of pure clarity on the failure that comes out of his success. So let me turn this to a generic, overarching spiritual concept and then make a few comments about prayer, and then maybe I'll add some specifics as we go along. Do you remember when Jesus said that a man may gain the whole world and lose his soul? It probably feels amazing to gain the whole world, to get all of the power, all of the notoriety, to reach the highest height, and to be the most successful. And it's going to cost him his life. It's going to cost him his soul. It's going to cost him everything. I'll ask an easy question to get started. Do you want that? Do you want to train and be disciplined and be good at what you're doing better than anyone and get everything everybody in the world ever imagined if it meant what was left afterwards was a dramatic fall to certain spiritual death? People in the world might say, you know what, I think I'll try it. I think I do want to be successful in whatever I decide matters. And then, there could be some danger on the back end of that, but I'll just slide down the wall, or I'll get a grip, or I'll just sprain an ankle or something. Will you listen to what God is saying? Christians are supposed to be the kind of people who say, I don't want anything in my life if it takes me away from God. In our illustration, the further he climbed, the farther he was away from solid ground. And yet later, he would impact with that same ground. And the distance he created magnified the treachery of the contact. Do you realize with me today that is true about God? Whatever you're pursuing, if it is taking you away from God, the further away you get, without admitting or recognizing what you're doing and stopping early, the further you get away, the higher likelihood of disaster, and that can be short-term or very, very long. If you understand what I'm saying, or I think more importantly, if you can hear the words of Jesus, gain the whole world, highest heights, and lose your soul, then this ought to directly affect the way you pray. Number one, about your own life. We are usually the central character in our prayers, us and God. So let's do that in a healthy way. And then, like a man watching another man run up a wall, maybe you pray this way for others. And let me be clear here. I'm praying for your success. If those things honor God, if they serve people, if they help you understand your purpose in life, and perhaps especially if it's rewarding and prosperous and amazing, I want you to have all of those things, and you ought to be praying for those things. Lord, I'm going to work hard on this, and I hope that this leads to this job thing or this opportunity or this new relationship or open door. Please help me be successful. But you need to mix in things in your prayer that prioritize your relationship with God and God's people over whatever you're devoting your time to, especially if that thing is not exactly God or exactly God's purpose and people for your life. So you should pray. And I know this is difficult. Maybe you do this all the time. Maybe today will be the first time. Great God, I'm pursuing this thing, and you would be extremely specific with God about how much it means to you and how hard you're working and upcoming choices. And then you say this, please, God, lead me to failure. Make it not come to pass. Trip me up. Stop me cold if in any way this is taking me away from you. Open my heart not to crave it so dramatically. Open my ears to listen to people who are telling me, I don't think this is going to work out. You climb this wall, eventually you're going to have to come back down. Help me to be open-hearted and eared to listen to good counsel. Defeat me in every idea that I have, in every path that I choose, which I may not know the consequences that will come out of this. I may not even understand that it's away from you, and that's a whole nother level of this prayer, but you know where it will take me and my family. Please defeat me if I'm moving in the wrong direction. Is that a prayer you are willing to offer? If we do that in faith and we believe that God hears and we genuinely want to be redirected, that's a huge part of this thing, then you can begin to trust in what's happening. If every door continues to open and the training is there and the results are there, then you may know that God is with you, but you will always reevaluate along the path. Is this taking me closer to God or away from God? Are the objectives here spiritually safe? Or if I reach this certain objective, do I create spiritual uncertainty? You will constantly reevaluate that. And if God slams you in the nose so that you don't break every bone in your body, you will thank Him for it. Imagine that, a life where great success and great failure put a smile on my face and cause me to praise God for His provision, for protecting me, oftentimes from myself. To broaden this out a little bit, and I mix it in the illustration, I'm praying for this guy to get tripped up. I believe you have every right, if your focus is on heaven, Christ, and the church and what's right, to pray these things for others. Just add the word if you're not sure. If there's someone in your life who is absolutely headlong going the wrong direction, it's not even really up for debate, and the more successful they are in it, the worse it's going to be for them and others. Pray for God to defeat them. Pray for God to open their heart. Pray for God to show them a better way, but they may not be ready to see that, but God can act. Pray for God to bring defeat. There are other categories, and this is what I want to end with today. I don't want to just give you on a tee very simple things where they're obviously sinful and we should be praying to get tripped up. I want to talk about things that are a little more amoral and challenging to decipher. So let's apply that to your family and friends. Maybe they're engaged in something that just, there's something about it, or about how others have experienced it, or about the risks that give you great pause that this is where their energy needs to be going. And the more disciplined they are, which is all these good things that they get praised for, is just going to make it worse, at least in the outcome. Then pray this way: Lord, give them tremendous success, but only if it helps them get to heaven. Only if it's good for you and them and others, but please defeat them. I'm praying for their failure, and I know that's going to be hard for them to hear, and it may not be time for me to say that to them, so I'll say it to you this way: if it is hurtful to others and to their eternal future, please lead them to failure. Maybe they won't understand now, but at least they'll live to tell the story so that they can understand later. But I put this in sequence. Don't be someone who prays that for others. We're really good at judging when others are doing questionable things and somehow self-justifying a lot of our own behavior. That's just kind of the way we are. So be sure and start with you and really mean it and really react in the right ways when God does exactly what you ask Him to do, and then do so for others. All right, let me give you a few examples here coming down the stretch, just some things that I noted where these kinds of prayers may be most needful. I guess I would be utterly remiss if I didn't start with this, just on the off chance that this is what you've been working on. If you really want to scale a vertical brick wall in a parking lot without ropes or pads, because no one's ever done it, because you want to be the best that there ever was, because you want to be sponsored and get NIL money and live an amazing life with your face on a billboard, pray for failure. I'm praying for your failure. And it doesn't mean I want to take anything away from the highest high. I just don't think you're ready for the fall, and I don't think you can see it. But the fact that you can't see it means you need to be praying for God to open your eyes, and I pray that He does. Now, I say that a little bit facetiously, of course, because I don't anticipate that that's where you are. But if you can really get that in that silly, half-baked illustration, maybe you can get it in things that are more relevant. So I actually have a pretty lengthy list here. I'm hoping maybe some of it will hit right where you are today. I'll go through it pretty quickly. Number one is career excellence, becoming skilled or educated, respected, promoted, or influential. There are all kinds of obvious reasons why climbing that career ladder is the thing to do, so you can provide for your family or build something meaningful or accomplish the results of a disciplined life. But what if it's not a career ladder? What if it's a vertical brick wall with a concrete base? What if it leaves less time for family, less time for God, or too much attention to the world? Pray for success. We're not talking about just giving up on those things, but we want God to redirect them. I've entered into a little project this year, just something I've always wanted to do, and that's take some exams that would make me a certified financial advisor. It's been kind of a neat little passion on the side throughout my life, but I'm very prayerful about defeat. Lord, just stop this in its tracks. Completely eradicate this from my desires and from the opportunities that are presented to me if it makes me less capable of honoring you and helping others. But if it will be about others with tangential benefits for my family and me, then God, I'm praying for your approval. Number two is similar and adjacent to it, and that's financial wisdom, financial wealth. Being prudent with your money is biblical. Being willing to save for future opportunities, whether it's for you or others. Getting into a disciplined habit of spending less than you make. All that's great. Security, peace, wonderful things come out of that. But so does the temptation to be greedy and to hold it back since you've worked so hard for it. Also, the temptation to define the success of your life by comparing yourself to people of the world. And of course, just that path that so many have followed where chasing the money just takes them farther and farther away from God. But don't think of it horizontally. Think of it as reaching some new height. Look how great you've done, only to fall without any way to stop after. Then maybe there are a couple about other people, like relationships. If you're young, the people that you date, the person that you marry, the people who you allow to be these inner circle influential ones in your life. They don't have to be perfect. It's not about that. We're all works in progress. We can learn and we can grow, but pray for success if that will make everyone more like Christ and a support to another. But you've got to be willing to pray for failure. A young person goes, I've been dating this person for a few weeks and I think I really like them, but God, I need you to defeat this. I need you to stop it and to get me back where I need to be if this leads me away from you. And here's the thing, you go, man, we don't know the future and we're not sure about it. That's why we're trusting in God, and it keeps us mindful of what we've asked for, both success or failure, based on spiritual reasons. And then you go out and you live like that, you date like that, you work like that, and you almost end up creating the result that God wants by bringing God's will into the picture. This can apply to others in this way as well, like Christian service and ministry, serving, being hospitable, being a teacher, influencing people, utilizing a platform like a podcast, gaining reputation. And while you're doing good, it becomes about you, and it becomes something that you protect at all costs. And there's hidden things that get tucked away to preserve this, and that's all very, very dangerous. Preachers in particular, especially when they're accusing everyone else of this, are probably susceptible to it. This idea of Christian service and ministry being a me service tool. Pray about that. Don't give up on the ministry, but pray for success and humility and to break that nose. God, break that nose if it means I don't break every bone in my body later. Stop me and correct me now. And again, this begins to advise your entire path and cause you to reevaluate. Is God telling me no here? Is he slowing me down? I need to be listening. Here are a couple more that may just apply to you directly. How about physical fitness and health? I have a ton of great things to say about working out a little bit and walking and eating right. And it's a discipline thing, a health thing, stewardship of your temple business, and confidence in the future, Sedona at 70 or whatever. But it can lead to vanity, addiction, obsession, unfortunately, even things like infidelity in this weird kind of trail. You get this far away from what you need to be prioritizing for all these great reasons, and the fall comes so suddenly. And so we want to pray, God, give me success in this if I'm moderate. Now we're getting there. I know I need to be moderate about this. I can't climb 40 feet high on this thing. I'll destroy everything. I need to be more careful. I need to set up more safeguards. Please give me success if I'm being careful. But if this is a dead end, or if I don't know how to control myself in it, even if it's something like physical health, or to give you one final example, knowledge. Knowledge seems great unless it puffs up. Knowledge seems great until it insults and hurts others or it overvalues itself. God, give me the safeguards, and if I don't know how to place them there, then defeat me on this, reset me on this, here and now. I'll list those examples and a few more in the show notes, and I hope this ends up being optimistic because all we really want to do is pursue excellence in a wide variety of things that we know honors the name of God, helps other people, and is ultimately good for us in ways that matter. And that means praying for clarity and praying for help and praying for success. But sometimes, and maybe more times than we previously admitted, it involves praying for failure. Thank you again for listening. If it's helpful to you, please consider sharing with a friend. Speaking of friends, I want to mention once again the sponsor for today's episode, Tyler Kane with Statewide Mortgage. They service Florida, Texas, Georgia, South Carolina, Tennessee, Kentucky, Indiana, Colorado, and Alabama. 20 years of experience. They can help you with home mortgage needs, whether you're a first-time buyer, refinancing, or just discussing future home ownership goals. Their website is in the show notes, or you can reach Tyler directly at 813-380-8487. He is a trusted friend and brother, and I encourage you to reach out to him. And in whatever you do today, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, excel still more.